Come the consultation rooms and then desk up. Then the screen is here to entertain the clients as they're waiting. For those ones waiting for the results, to go to the lab, those ones waiting for X-ray.
Motherhood, a natural and blessed calling that our women heed. It is a fact that African societies have different perceptions on women. But one that unites them all is the position of mothers in their communities.
Then the screen is here to
It is a
entertain the
position
clients as
often
they're waiting.
held in reverence.
Hello.
Those ones waiting for
Yes.
the results, to go to the lab.
Wakire vuya. Karibu.
Motherhood, a natural
noga,
and blessed
karibu.
calling that our women heed.
Miaka
mbwata 59.
59. Ngeresa bono naki obokongki obwat.
Then the screen is here to entertain
While
the
motherhood
clients
is
as they're
respected
waiting.
and cherished, there lies a danger that comes with it. Giving birth is as good as walking a thin line between life and death, a natural and blessed calling, especially here that our women heed.
Then the screen is here to entertain the clients as they're waiting.
Ono amacha yang pero ako chakero gocha ko no waikire no to gocha to akonya bangina bagwate muchano
a natural and blessed calling that our women heed.
Umugano go mokeigo ndamanya muna yacha getindi.
The horrifying number of deaths during childbirth is quite high in the continent. It is a strain that African governments are striving but struggling to eradicate.
For those ones waiting for the results, to go to the lab, those ones waiting for X-ray.
Motherhood, some of the natural and blessed complications that our women to pregnancies and childbirth are living a life of regret, stigma, and fear. One such complication is fistula.
Fistula ni gorengo yo wa mache uwetia machi kera chinsa akagenda igo ngatigara bono nchebweka uwetia machi kera chinsa
Mutinyi 10
uwetia machi kera chinsa
kairu chenero mutinyi 10 nka musumwana n'ekicyuma bono aba kicyuma kiri kigasarya asamaki asekyo nkagendera goteseka ewiki engima ntari gukwana nkacha ewiki ya kabiri nari nachagete gukwana nonye n'abanyagitari bari ngoe baroche ng'a oyo taiyo lakini ekero bachete bakanyora nabokire nabo mogoko buri obetororo
nanyorete magatisaina moto nabanyanyota muchano uyu ando mwana uyu zumbira mwana gatatu wakinda beti moja yasirete uyu kabire ni gasirete bana ndi nabanyota nabangete ntabaka ona bangerete ai bangirete tieta una nabitetieta ona bangikigitanda ngayendereyo nachokara kinachi buchinji kabanga gachanga una nagitagire town achanga muspati kitagante kagendo kena ndora nkaba karwari kunachi buchinji karwara bagantuma mate aikwe Eldoret aronka gendororo bakandosi still nabo ngendere togara kabayi ane garwara ngachanganda Nairobi.
While the demeaning social treatment is largely driven by ignorance, there are some organizations that are intervening to reverse the situation. One such organization is Lugina Africa Midwives Research Network, or LAMREN. In collaboration with Kenyatta National Hospital, one such doctor who has been very active is Dr. Hissa Weston Wakasiaka, an obstetrician and gynecologist. He takes us through the processes.
She has a uterus and the exit from the uterus, which we call the cervix, and the birth canal. Around around the uterus and the birth canal, we have organs that are, you can call them sisters, that help her perform the normal functions like passage of urine. So we have the bladder here, and we have the urethra that brings out the urine from her body. And behind the birth canal and the uterus, we have the rectum and sometimes the colon. So when the baby normally is held up in the uterine cavity until when the time comes for the woman to give birth. And during that time, the uterus contracts or gives it power to push the baby out through the exit into the birth canal, all the way until the baby is born. Now, for some reason, like for example, if the baby is too big or the birth canal of the woman is too small, then the baby is not able to try to move freely through the exit of the uterus and the birth canal to the outside. So they get trapped somewhere in between here. And when they are trapped, it means we call that obstructed labor. So that that diagnosis must be made immediately for action to be taken to help the woman get her baby out. And the action that normally one would do is to perform a cesarean section whereby the baby is born through the abdomen and outside, and avoids the obstructed place that happens in the birth canal. If this doesn't happen, and then the baby gets trapped in the birth canal. When they are trapped, there will be compression of all the tissues that are lying or are next to the birth canal, like for example the bladder, like the urethra, like the rectum. And when there's obstruction, these tissues will then lie in between the baby's head and the bone pelvis of the woman, the bone of the woman. And this compression stops blood flow to these tissues. And if they are not relieved in time, these tissues die because of lack of blood supply. And when the tissues die, they fall off and leave a hole like this one, where the circle is a communication between the bladder and the birth canal, or sometimes between the rectum and the birth canal. When this happens, urine quickly leaks, because that's an issue point. It will quickly leak through that communication or hole into the birth canal and outside. Or sometimes the stool comes from the rectum, will come through into the birth canal and outside, because this is a point of least resistance. And this woman, therefore, leaks urine 24 hours. She wets her clothes 24 hours. She smells of urine and sometimes smells also of stool. And for that reason, the woman who gets this becomes shaken. She becomes frightened, and most likely withdraws herself, becomes mentally depressed and physically depressed. So much that the family now fears or to go next to her. They kind of keep her away from family functions, and these women become socially withdrawn and can get depressed and even commit suicide.
A woman with fistula can see urine leaking through her legs throughout the day. In Kenya and Africa, fistula happens when women can't get proper antenatal care quickly while in labor. Ignorance can be attributed to this too in many developing African countries due to high poverty
in many
levels.
developed countries, the systems are not so well developed as to enable this woman to access these services. So as a fistula surgeon, my biggest challenge would be how would the woman come to where I am. I'm here based in Nairobi, and the women that are probably at Fistula in the rural parts of Kenya, it is such a big challenge. You have never been to Nairobi to reach. So even if you are told you can only get this service in Nairobi, it's such a big challenge. Many of the relatives or friends that you have never been to Nairobi at all.
Alito muchando Fistula 2016 nkarora omuchando ntanyare kweresa anga nkanyora nanyorire omwana osirire ande nanyorire omuchando oyo iga inche ntamanyeti ng'a nki kiambereire ngachandika onye mataino twarengenera agantama agateba takunyara korenda omonto nyagitari otabwati mwana amaene nkarora omuchando ngachandika mono sana. Onde bwensi niga abete ogontama tinyoreti bokonya ase omonto onde bwensi mpaka nkaigwa ng'a mbuya indwe ense eye tinya korora emechando buna eye iga nkamenya nyagitari 1 month ntabwati oyo ogonkonya oyo ogonkorera, lakini rende ngwakera Nyasaye mbuya mono babucha Rusa na Sabina bakang'ikang'e egere bakanyara gonshughulikera bakang'a omoyo ase eng'encho konya nerusiri moyo ng'a mbuya nkwe obwakorora omochando onga buna oyo iga.
So it becomes a big issue for this woman. So many of these women stay within the communities, isolated and withdrawn socially before they can access that service. As a surgeon, it's not an easy road that many people can travel to be a fistula surgeon. So you find we are fewer in the country that can recognize or diagnose fistula, and after diagnosis, we prepare to repair the fistula and hopefully restore this woman, restore her life. And
Ntuma Kenyatta nabeta oro noro nkarwarigwa n'omunyagitari ori kuri kupateri noro nkarwarigwa mpa nkogenda nkokora egwiki lakini nari gochaka nkokora egwiki nairu theatre nkogwenigu naende nairanigwa nse kwatio sina tano kabaroro noro ngakora emetienyi 10 ekagera bagacha kong'a ribaga ngachicha nka lakini abwo still mbaratichaga iga ngaga iga ngachaka kora emetienyi 3 nkairana naende nari bachiete gotichaga bono bagasoa naende korwaria amache nkaba nkarwarigwa nkaba naigwa buya bagantebia bono genda ka naende oche ochiche clinic nkaba iga nkonya kogenda eclinic koirana nkogenda konaba amatuko aywo naende ngacha ngachicha oborwaire obwo naende bogacha bokairanera bochieti kogwena buya kabisa tometiwe Kisumu nari omogaka aretete omong'ina onde riare aria gonsiara emenya rioteba egento eke kegotioga ng'ai nkiare kokwera aria getindegwe lakini rende abaibori bane bakaba bakonya korera bakabatebia motoe tomoire rende achie konya gotiokera nka seito omogaka one agakana agateba yaya tarwarete ororo tiga agende achie korwariwa buna abanyagitari batebire.
Ekero obokong'u bwabire mono na echianga chirimanyete banto ogokora bake nkomonya mbaro bagochaya mbaro batari gochaya tindi bwesibi gwikerera amache nabo ngosirika lakini ntabe naki gakire Nyasaye babe bamanyeti nakero gikiri gakera abere goseke babere gochibusio no atari barobwo bana babo tukumanya nabo goki.
Okay, in such a circumstance, what happens is the woman, once they present to the hospital, they are admitted within the hospital, and what that means is you open a file for them. Okay, they come to us to be able to take the history, to be able to examine her, to confirm that indeed she has a fistula, and at the same time to confirm that it can be repaired. And once that has been done, that woman will be admitted to the wards after preparation, so that then she's prepared to go to theater. And in theater, when the lady arrives in theater, we position her well after anesthesia, and we are able to assess properly as to how many fistulas they are there, what classification they are, and what kind of approach that we need to do if we have to repair that fistula. And we'll go then ahead and then repair the fistula, basically close that hole. Once the hole is closed, this woman will then be given a catheter, which she holds the catheter to help her pass urine that comes to the bladder to allow the closed fistula to heal for 2 weeks. Then the catheter can then be removed after we have ensured the fistula has closed. And then this woman is advised on how to pass urine often, and to continue to drink lots of fluids to try to promote the healing of that fistula. And we follow them like that after 3 months. Then we can allow them to join their community or to resume their normal services as human beings, as wives, as mothers in the community. We do a test, what we call the dye test. And the dye test is done to ensure, because if there is a fistula or an abnormal communication, the dye will leak out once you place it into the bladder. So we put the dye into the bladder, then we ask the woman to cough, and we are able to see, while we're examining her, the birth canal, we're able to see whether there's a leakage of the dye or there's no leakage of the dye. When there's no leakage of the dye, we consider that woman has healed, and we remove the catheter. Yeah. If there's a leak in the bladder, we consider that woman not having healed. So we have to do an extra care to help her heal. And sometimes this extra care may involve having to go back to theater and close what is the residual part of the fistula. At the Kenyatta National Hospital, we have partners who have been helping us. Partners like Flying Doctor Society of Africa, like African Medical Research Foundation, AMREF, UNFPA, Beyond Zero campaign. We have other partners from LAMRA, who have also been very crucial in creating awareness, and at the same time in mobilizing the clients, in helping us achieve care and treatment of these women. We also have partners from media, such as Citizen, Citizen, and also Safaricom have been very crucial. Johnson & Johnson in providing for us sutures that help us in repairing or restoring the women at the Kenyatta National Hospital. So we also have, in the United Kingdom, we have a specific school that is that has come out to promote fistula care through the Liverpool School of Medicine, who are currently trying to help manage, especially women with fistula and who are suffering from stillbirths. And we hope that they are going to come in strongly to be able to help us train the capacity that we require in terms of fistula care.
With the mentioned partners, the organization has been organizing surgical and other forms of treatment for victims of fistula in various parts of Kenya.
We mapped up the country, our country here, Kenya, so that we were able to visit the different provinces. Then there were provinces, we didn't have counties yet. Provinces that where we could get some facility that is able to enable us to perform the surgery. And we have done this in many parts of Kenya, including starting from the coast side, the Coast General Hospital and Kilifi. We have gone to the Western Kenya, New Nyanza General Hospital, Kakamega, Kitale, and we came all the way to Rift Valley in Baringo, Eldoret, and any part that we suspected there was a fistula woman usually used to work as an tip of the iceberg.
One of the mechanisms involved is raising awareness on this condition. A society in the know is a valued partner in this effort. According to the 2010 report by Human Rights Watch, around 3,000 women and girls develop fistula every year in Kenya. The report also stated that between 30,000 and 300,000 women have been living with this condition. Rural women with fistula in the villages stay isolated due to lack of hospitals that can offer fistula repairs. Here in Kenya, this service is mostly available in the capital city of Nairobi. On the same breath, the surgeons who can perform this service are very few. This necessitated the introduction of camps in various parts of East Africa in the year 2006 in an effort to get to the fistula victims.
And part of what we do is usually go through the media, and we utilize media like Citizen, for example, because they have local radio stations can promote a lot of information that are able to reach the women quickly so that they come for service. We also utilize Safaricom. Majority, you realize, majority of Kenyans
While
have,
fistula is a common
Safaricom.
occurrence during childbirth, the lack of expertise and policies to support poor communities to combat it are some of the contributing factors for its prevalence in Kenya. AMREF has networks which help to reach these women and fistula surgeons while in camp, and also use local medical personnel to expose them to the procedures of fistula condition repair.
ngopime na inche ndore na kio genderete arabu manya kumbikira ese yao gaiga nore gwanjiro chikorosigwa.
High poverty levels in many rural communities and lack of infrastructure lead to many victims not only living with the condition, but also enduring its psychosocial effects. This is the gap that Lambren is seeking to bridge. To achieve this, Lambren has partnered with Royal Media Services and Safaricom, which help in mobilizing patients with fistula in rural areas to attend medical camps where treatment takes place at no cost. One such a facility that has benefited from these surgeries is Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital in western part of Kenya.
We want to thank all our friends and partners from the London School of Tropical Medicine and Lamran, Kenya, for their support, and hope that they'll find the Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital a place that they'll enjoy working in, and also their help will be much welcome with the society that you work with in this region. Thank you.
For victims of fistula, the joy of regaining a dignified life, free of the shameful effects of the condition, life takes a new meaning and definition. This is the life after fistula. The smiles christened on their faces as we visit them after the surgeries and full recovery is a testament of the joy that they have been lacking.
Niko hai. Tena nakusalamia haki, asante kwa kunifanyisa. Nawapenda nyinyi wote madaktari wangu.
The success and the smiles of
Asante.
each operation come at a cost. Doctors involved in this program devote their expertise and time. However, they may do more with more facilitation to reach the huge number of patients scattered across Kenya. But prevention is always better than treatment.
Our programs, though it has helped many women, we are only able to manage about 30% of these women every year. So we still have a backlog of women waiting to access our service, and which we hope that in future, with an accelerated service, we're able to reach all these women and be able to prevent even the new fistulas from developing.
Motherhood is nature's way of sustenance and continuity. However, giving birth need not to be a death sentence where and when possible. Neither should it be a condemnation to a life of shame and personal suffering. For an African mother is a healthy mother, and healthy mothers are a solid foundation for healthy children and healthier, sustainable communities.
Reach as many women as possible. We have also utilized ambassadors, or the so-called fistula survivors, to be able to communicate to the communities where there could be women with fistula. The satisfaction and happiness that comes to restore the life of a woman is more than one can handle, really. So, like people say, even one bird in a nest is not a waste, really. If you can provide a home for this woman when they have fistula, you have restored their life.